Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, this is Jessie. How's everybody doing out there tonight? What is going on in the world? And by the way, I'm not alone. I've got a special guest, Judy Elmore, who'll be talking with us in just a moment about The world leaders who are leaving their posts in droves, so it seems. They all seem to be resigning, not running for a second term, or otherwise just going, I've had it, I'm done. See ya! Or, in the case of South Korea, on the risk of impeachment. So, Dr. Judy Elmore, how you doing tonight?
I'm okay. I
know it's been...
So, what's up, Jess?
Oh, well, what's up with these world leaders dropping like flies?
Well, I don't know about all the other world leaders, but I have to admit I was a bit flabbergasted yesterday when I got the news that our Prime Minister is calling it quits.
I believe it. All right. Unlike here in the United States, where if the president resigns or whatever, we know immediately who's going to succeed him. It's the vice president, of course. Is that the way it works in New Zealand?
No. It is a bit of a shock in that respect. Some people would actually think that our deputy prime minister would be the one that would take over in the event that the prime minister stood down. But that's the thing. He stood down. If it was something that was a bit more drastic and something had happened to him that took him out of action immediately, then the deputy prime minister, who is Bill English, would take over. But in this case, because he's resigning, it has to go to a caucus meeting where the government caucus decides who is going to take over for him. It is likely to be our deputy prime minister, Bill English, because he has the public support of John Key, but there's no guarantee that that's exactly who it's going to be. There's actually a list of about 6 or 7 people that it could potentially be, and we won't know until December the 12th when they have their caucus meeting.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Say John Key got hit by a truck, or as you call it, a lorry, and died. Then your deputy prime minister would automatically step in and go, yep, I got the reins, at least so you guys can get a caucus together.
Exactly. Basically, it would be an interim type position. It's not the job permanently.
Okay, but because John Key said, here's a letter of resignation, I'm done. It's one of those things, he still has to do the job until December 12th.
Yeah, John Key, when he announced, if he wanted to, he could have said, that's it, I'm done. At which point Bill English would have had to step in until the caucus meeting. But when John Key had his press release yesterday, he actually said that he will continue to serve in the role of the Prime Minister until they've had their caucus meeting, after which he will tender his resignation. So he's basically the Prime Minister until the 12th, which is next week, and then we have a new Prime Minister.
So you're getting a new leader before we do. I didn't think that was possible. Now, does this mean your country is scrambling to bring out the voting machines and get out the ballots and all that stuff?
No, this is the thing. New Zealand doesn't actually vote for our Prime Minister. In our general parliamentary elections, we have 2 votes that we make. One is for our local member of parliament, or our local MP, as we call them. And then we have a party vote. So we basically say, which party would we like to have a seat in Parliament for us? And there are 120 seats in Parliament, and the party vote decides exactly how those seats are divided amongst the parties. Now, the funny thing about the calculation is that if a person that's part of the party has won the seat, then that's one less party seat that they have. So say, for example, a party gets 40% of the party vote. then they are allowed to have 40% of the seats in Parliament. Now, there actually is 120, but to make math a bit easy in my head on the fly, say there was only 100. Then that would mean that they're allowed 40 seats. But say that party won 13 electorates. Well, then as a consequence, they have 40 minus 13 seats to fill, however they choose. Going into the elections, they will have published their lists of who is in the party votes. And these lists will be ordered, and they will go through and say 1, 2, 3, right down the line. So if you've got, say, 5 seats to fill, then you know candidates 1 through 5 get in unless they won their electorate. If they won their electorate, they get stricken off that list, and then it goes to the next candidate accordingly. So going into the elections, we will know who is at the top of the party lists, but we won't know exactly who the members of Parliament are until those seats are divided.
Okay, so it's kind of more like the British system.
It's what they call the MMP, the mixed member proportion system. I believe they use it in Scotland, and they use it in some other countries as well. We adopted it about 20 years ago. So we've been using this system for about 20 years now. In selecting the Prime Minister, what happens is the parties have to meet together and work out who is going to be able to form the majority in Parliament. Because there's 120 seats, so majority has to be 61. So you need to have 61 seats to form the government, or we don't have a government.
What happens if there is no government?
If there is no government, then we wind up going back to re-elections again. It's a bit of a mess. We haven't had that happen yet, so let's hope it doesn't. We've come close, but we haven't had it happen.
So at the 11th hour, they all worked it out.
They all worked it out, which was really good. But what can happen is, this last election that we had, the National Party, which would probably equate the closest to your Democrats, but they're not quite as far-winged as the Democrats are. They're still a bit towards the center. The National Party won 59 seats in the last government, in the last election. So they only had to top it up by another 2 seats, and they could form the government. So we knew we were going to have a national government. But it could have very easily have flipped the other way, and the other parties could have all banded together against national, and as a consequence, the other parties would have formed the government. It's unlikely to happen that way because some parties, their policies agree a little bit better than others. But yeah, we don't have a 2-party system like you guys do. Our parties, we've got quite a few different parties. In fact, I was taking a look at the system through the network and bits and pieces. There are currently serving members of Parliament. We currently have 7 parties in Parliament at the moment. So it's a few.
I was going to say, I think we only have 3 representative in any of our congressional seats on a national level. I believe we have the Democrat, the Republican, and I think there's at least 1 independent in there. Maybe 2, but definitely at least 1.
We have 7 at the moment.
Now, we have more parties on the books, but they never get enough votes to actually get anywhere.
Well, see, that's the thing. With the way our system works is that if you don't get enough party votes, you could still potentially have a member of Parliament in Parliament. That actually did happen the last election. United Future, which is one of the parties, they didn't have enough seats or enough of the votes for the party vote. However, the member of Parliament won his electorate. So he's in there because that's what the people wanted for his electorate. So it just meant that somebody else had to miss out on a party seat because he won his electorate as a consequence. So the electorate members are positioned first, and then the rest of the seats get divided accordingly based on the party votes. It is a complicated system, but it seems to work.
All right, so why do you think John Key said, I'm out of here? He cited family reasons, but
I think John Key just had enough, to be honest. If you read through through the transcript of his speech, if you listen to his resignation speech from yesterday, he's basically putting his family first, and good on him for doing that. I think that's fantastic. He has been our prime minister for 8 years, and he's been the leader of the National Party for 10, and he has had to put up with a lot of backlash from a variety of different things. He was the prime minister while we had the major earthquakes that happened in Christchurch 6 years ago, and he had to suffer from all the backlash that happened with that. We had, of course, the concept of our flag, that we were looking at changing our flag, and there was quite a significant amount of backlash with that one too. But he has done some good things and a whole bunch of different things, and I think he's just had enough, to be honest. You look at him, you look at him while he's giving his conferences, and he just looks like a tired man. I just think he's had enough. And then, of course, all of the world leaders, the fact that they've all been changing, I think he's just gone, nah, I'm not going there. This is just too much. I just had enough. Time to walk away. One of the things I probably should make clear is that our members of parliament, our politicians within New Zealand, they are not your rich people. They are not the ones with mucho bucks. In fact, I don't think we actually have any billionaires in New Zealand. We might have a couple millionaires, but they're certainly far and few in between. Your average politician is actually just a farmer. They're just somebody who's decided they don't like.
A farmer? Oh. A farmer. As in, tills the fields, grows the crops.
Bingo. A farmer.
Okay, catch me
I know
off
that
guard.
Sounds really, really odd, but yeah. Our average politician is actually just everyday people, just like you and me. We do have a few career politicians, but not many. Most of them aren't. Most of them are just people that decided they didn't like what was happening, and they wanted to stand up and make a change. And they figured that the best way to do that was to actually just put themselves into the thick of it and run for government. And we've had a few interesting politicians that have come through as a consequence. I know one of them, Sue Bradford, many, many years ago. She was actually a woman who was on the DPB, the Domestic Purposes Benefit, who had young children at home, no way to really, was struggling to make ends meet, and wanted to change a few things, put her hand up, and she became a member of parliament as a consequence.
Judy, quick question. DPB,
Domestic Purposes Benefit. So that's if you are unemployed, but you've got young children, the government basically pays you. It's like an unemployment benefit, but you are not expected to go to work.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, I've read through his statement, and I've listened to parts of it. I didn't have time to listen to the whole, 40-minute speech? But
it was a long speech.
I will say this. Every president of the United States, at least as far back as I can research since the TV age, that has served a full term or more, Alright, I hope I'm still alive. Give me just 1 second to give it a quick check. I believe I had an internet connection. Oops.